Hi, everybody. We're live. We had this scheduled for 7:30, but Jordan, I don't think we have to delay talking about that shit show, do we?
No, but Brett, we're excited today. You know why?
Why is that?
Because South Florida's best team won a game yesterday. You know who that team is?
Is that Central? Who?
Well, the Florida Panthers, my friend. The Florida
Oh,
Panthers are back. Preseason has started. The champs are playing hockey again, and all is right in South Florida sports right now. I got my Kachuk sweater on. I got my Panthers hat sitting here next to me. We are all ready to go.
yeah. So let me say this. Congrats to the Panthers. I'm a Penguins fan. It's going to be brutal for us this year. Years of kicking the can down the road kind of bit us in our ass. Our buddy Scott does not watch this, so he will not actually hear me say that the Penguins are going to have a rough year. So I can say that now. But last week, almost exactly a week ago, I did the spicy ramen challenge.
How you feeling?
I feel fine. Like even during it, I didn't think it was bad, and then everybody watched the video. Were like, "Dude, are you okay? That was painful." But guess what? Nothing was as painful as watching Skylar Thompson play quarterback yesterday.
Oh, is that you transitioning to talk about the Dolphins? I
That's
was
me.
going to see how long I could derail us from having to talk about the Miami Dolphins, and I got a minute 31. But here's what I'm going to do to try to push it even further. I texted you, okay, on Saturday morning.
Yeah, you did.
What was the question that I asked you? I just want you to say the question.
How are we feeling about Michigan today?
So it's now 1 minute and 50 seconds into the episode, and Brett has mentioned the Michigan Wolverines for your tracker at home. But Brett said, I don't like them. I don't even know if we're going to stay in the game.
Yeah, I did not.
And the Michigan Wolverines went out. Some didn't think they would, running the football over and over and over and over. And that'll be a theme for something we talk about in a little bit. We get to talking about our beloved Dolphins. But Michigan ran the ball over and over and pulled out a win against USC in the Big
Yeah,
House.
yeah, I was surprised. Hats off though to our DN Josiah Stewart, number 0. He transferred in last year from Coastal Carolina. But I forget USC's left tackle's name. He's getting first round hype, and Josiah Stewart just had a first round film going up against him yesterday to the point that they're like, all right, we're changing the offensive line. But yeah, I know, and this is ironically another segue to the Dolphins, which I know we're all so great to talk about. I went from a game where Michigan fans are begging the team to try a pass to Dolphin fans a day later saying, good God, just run the football.
What was the count? 18 times we ran the ball?
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to running the football, and there's going to be a lot of things we talk about on this episode about that, but why did Jalen Wright only get 2 carries?
I don't know. I can't even just if you listen to us later on Spotify, Podbeam, Apple Music, anything, I'm just
Nice
shrugging. I
plug.
really just don't have much. I don't have an answer to that. I wish I could give you one.
Brett, you're always the optimist. You're always the one that is, all right, everything's going to be okay. Everybody can calm down. I think that this week was the first time, and we've been doing the show for 2 years. I've known you longer than that. I think yesterday was the first time I didn't see you stop people from kind of going off. I think yesterday was one of the first times I've seen you just let it go completely, and no shot was too far. But do you feel any sort of hope for the next couple of weeks? Because I do, and we'll get to it. But what are your immediate thoughts?
So my immediate thoughts during the game, and I feel like I've been saying this way too much this year already, is that was the worst game plan I've seen Mike McDaniel come out with. I will say there is reason to be encouraged. I feel a lot better after, again, I got a shout out Eric Smith and Ryder McConville. They had Eric did some breakdowns on Twitter. Ryder did his Skylar Thompson breakdown. You're a saint for that, Ryder. Thank you for doing the Lord's work for that, because I couldn't watch that game again. Plays were there to be made. They were there to be made. If we had a bad quarterback, I think we win the game. Skylar was I don't even know what the word. I'm just going to start calling that play. You're Skylar. You're just Skylar. Like, that's just. I saw, like, go back to Michigan. I would rather watch Warren Davis and Alex Orji play quarterback than watch Skylar Thompson. And I'm sure he is a nice kid, but he just couldn't process. Mike McDaniel did. Now, I will say this. It is not Skylar's fault that Mike McDaniel tried to run the Tua offense with Skylar. But Skylar Thompson couldn't even do simple reads. There were some plays that he just wasn't reading it. So when Tim Boyle's an upgrade, and he is an upgrade, that's the scary part. But the other reason I do feel optimism, and this is going to go into something I know you want to talk about because you were frustrated and you pointed out the stats on Twitter yesterday with our running numbers. I know the offensive line is much maligned, but they statistically, when we run the ball between the tackles,
Yes.
are legitimately good at blocking.
Yes.
And we don't run it.
We are in 1st and 10. We are in non-4th and 1 situations right now. And we are running well between the tackles. And it was weird to see how little we ran the ball. We used to call making a bad play a 52 for old Florida defenseman Mackenzie Weegar, who was part of the package that brought us Kachuk. But now we can begin to call it a Skylar. I'm completely okay with that. He was terrible. Tim Boyle came in and was slightly better. But I think Tim Boyle was a little better because we almost resorted to, because of Tim Boyle's knowledge, we almost resorted to what we talked about last week that we needed to do with Skylar, which was just running simple football plays. We weren't trying to run the Tua offense. We were just going out there, making simple reads and moving the ball. And you saw what happened because of the talent when you just put the ball in a place that the guys could get to it. I would be completely shocked if Tyler Huntley didn't start Monday night. I think that's if you're not going to have somebody that is going to light you up through the air, I think you just got to go with the guy that can make some play on the ground and almost do what Michigan did and do some run, do some wildcat, and pick your spots throwing the ball. But that number needs to be flipped. It can't be 32 pass attempts and 18 rushing attempts. It needs to be almost 40 rushing attempts, 50 rushing attempts. And I think part of the reason that number was low is because we had a low time of possession. But you got to be better than that. And McDaniel's got to put them in better situations than that. I know we're going to talk about him at some point here. But it was just all around, even from an organizational standpoint, Skylar Thompson shouldn't have even been put in that situation.
No,
that should have been something that last year we addressed, getting a good backup quarterback. And that was something that should be a priority. We talk about, and I posted this on a comment on something on X. We talk about last year when it came to the center position. How do you only have one guy on the roster that you feel comfortable that can compete? There's no way that you can tell me, if you're anybody in the Dolphins organization, after 3 years, that you feel comfortable that Skylar Thompson can go out and win a football game. And now he's hurt. So now he might actually be out for a decent amount of time. So that might not matter. But you can't only have come into this season saying, oh, no, it's fine, Tua will stay healthy. If you wanted to win a Super Bowl this season, you should have had the best backup that you possibly could at every single position, because depth is always important in the NFL. So you needed the best quarterback available, no different than you needed the best center available, no different than you needed the best middle linebacker available. It's just an oversight from top to bottom in the organization right now.
Yeah. I will say this on the center thing. Aaron Brewer has legitimately been good this year.
Yes, Aaron Brewer's been great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I said, I think it was 2 weeks ago in the first game, I said I thought he was our best offensive lineman. And I don't think I've had to worry about his position once. Now, watching that Seattle game, I wish we would have had Connor Williams and one of them could play guard and the other one could play center. And I don't know if they'd fit next to each other, both on the smaller side. But it's interesting seeing a guy like him back and healthy for Seattle.
Yeah. What I will say for Skyler, and just to go back to this because this is where it is, I think you and I both, and I tried to be optimistic and say, maybe he'll have a good game. I think we knew he would be bad. There's no way around that. And I even said last week, I was like, we're losing this game. I picked us to lose with Tua back in May whenever we did that episode.
Yeah. But that was a winnable football game.
It was, because it wasn't like Seattle.
And I think that's why I matter. If we would have just if the Seahawks would have played great and we would have played crappy, like that's one thing. But the fact that we had a chance to win and we really could have stayed in that game with a smart game plan, that bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah. My issue was more, and I said this last night on Discord, is I was like, if we're out there and Skyler is just not playing well, he's trying, we're getting missed. Heck, even if it's what everybody seems to be acting like on X, where it's just our offensive line is getting abused, you're not happy with it, but it's like, okay, we kind of knew this was going to happen. I have never seen a quarterback look so petrified to have the ball. There's a play, and Ryder put this on his video, one of the first runs we did that was actually a good run. Skyler was so scared. He was so slow getting out from under center that Ike ran into him. And it's actually there. It's like Ike ran into him. There were a bunch of snaps that hit Skyler right in the hands, and he almost dropped him, and some he did drop. He looked petrified. And I've never seen that.
Brett, I want to play a game with you, okay? On the spot. I want you to go rapid fire. I'm going to give you a random name. It could be any name, okay? It's going to be a random list. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Sebastian.
We will cover the Sebastian topic at some point. We'll get to that. Stay tuned. But after our game, Brett, we're going to play a game. I'm going to give you a random name. You tell me. The game is called Skylar Thompson or blank. It's going to be very simple. I'm going to say Skylar Thompson or, and then the name of somebody, and you're going to tell me who you'd rather have starting at quarterback for the Dolphins next week. You ready?
Yep.
Damon Heward. Ray Lucas.
Oh, God. Yeah. Ray Lucas.
AJ Feely. Sage Rosenfels. Gus Frerotte. Cleo Lemon. I said on Sunday emphatically that I would have much rather had Cleo Lemon in that game. John Beck. This is the first one that I would have picked Skylar Thompson. If Tua, let's say worst case scenario in a million years, in an alternate universe, Tua decides to step away or we decide to separate ourselves from Tua after the season, I don't want the Dolphins to draft Carson Beck just simply because he has the same last name as John Beck. I want no part of that. But Brett, continuing our game, Tyler Thigpen.
He was on our team, wasn't he? Tyler Thigpen.
And then Skylar Thompson or Brock Osweiler.
Oh, it's almost time for Brocktober, so we'll go Brock Osweiler.
And then last but not least, Skylar Thompson or Josh Rosen.
My internet going out, so I don't have to answer this question. Did Rosen had a touch? I'd say Rosen just because, like I said, I have never seen someone look so unprepared like I saw Skylar Thompson look.
But is that on Skylar?
No. It's something that we've talked about this year a lot the first three games, and I'm not sure what it is. But the team just looks out of shape. They look unprepared. They just don't look like they have a plan. it's like what you expect from a team like the Chiefs, where they're like, we are so good, we can just waltz through it. We're making the playoffs, and it's almost like the Dolphins are like, we just want to be healthy at the end of the year, forgetting yes, you want to be playing your best at the end of the year, but you still got to win some games at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's almost like they went too far in the direction.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely came into the season lazy. I think that this should be the final year that we don't play guys in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should play a little bit. And I think that type of stuff has got to stop. And you've seen that roll over into the season. Now, if we come out of the bye and we still look like this in week 7, week 8, then we have to have a real conversation. I think it's too early to start the get ready to fire people conversation. You can't do that yet. It's a very long season. But I think at the same time, Chris Greer is definitely on the watch list. And I don't know if this is the year that if we struggle, Stephen Ross finally does it. But Chris Greer is definitely, and it'd be interesting to know how much McDaniel advocated for this roster and how much Chris Greer advocated for this roster.
Yeah.
I'd be fascinated to know. And
Well,
I think we'll know based off of Stephen Ross's decision at the end of the year if this keeps up.
I think Chris Greer has historically shown he will get who the coach wants. The biggest issue, and this will be me like defending but not defending the offensive line. I am not saying the offensive line is good. I am not saying that at all. What I am saying is all 3 games we have had one person have a very bad game, which is going to happen. But I think the offense, especially if you, quote, let's say it again, run the ball, the offensive line is playing well enough for this offense to be functional. The issue I have is, Jordan, we said this last week, we've been screaming to get a tight end for how many years now?
Don't even get me started. Yeah. Brett, I want to go through the rundown with you, okay? Mm-hmm. Quarterback position, we don't have a suitable backup. Running back position, we don't have a guy that can get short yardage. Receiver, we don't have a number 3 or lower receiver right now. Tight end, we use the 2 worst tight ends in football more than any team uses their second and third tight end. And we're not throwing it. Like,
I'm surprised Hill and Smythe were ranked as high as they were.
They're horrible right now.
Yes.
Our offensive line, as you said, has had one guy play terrible every game. That's every single unit on offense.
Yeah. I will say this. Yes. I will say this. The only thing I will say for the running backs is we don't run enough in short yardage situations.
You're 100% valid.
So I can't say we're bad at it because when we do, we're running. I guarantee you go back and look every game, every 3rd and 1 when we run, it is a fullback dive and an offset eye, which teams are selling out for now. We did it again this past week. 3rd and 1, but it was Jeff Wilson. So I think the running game, I won't say we have a good short yardage back, but I also say the only way to get better is to actually run the ball in short yardage situations.
We had multiple times, and I think it was more than 3, and it might have been 3 or more times in this game against Seattle that we ran the ball on first down, had either a 2nd and 4 or a 2nd and 1 on multiple times, and went backwards on both of the next 2 plays.
There was one, we got a second one, it was a 9-yard run. We immediately do a fake fullback dive, which ironically would have gained a first down to that stupid crack sweep or whatever they call it, right into the heavy set of the defense and lost 3 yards.
So I don't think – so to me, part of that is McDaniel, but part of that is Skylar needs to go out there and see what he's looking at. And if he sees that they're overloaded to this side, you can't allow them to run that. You got to check with me to McDaniel. You got to run the other set of the play. There's something that you got to do in there to say, Coach, we don't have as many guys as they have over there.
Yeah. there were multiple times in the All-22 show that was one. There was, and after the interception, there was a third down play where I think it was that one. Either way, it was a pass play, and we had the alignments in our favor in a different direction, and Skyler didn't switch up the play. So he does not. I don't know if he can't audible or what, or if it was just him being petrified, or they're like, just go with the play. I'm not sure. The other thing I will say is when you are struggling, you shouldn't be running a pass play where you do a play action to the fullback and have your left guard have to pull all the way to the far side of the field to block Seattle's best pass rusher. And that resulted in a sack. So it's like, it's situational with McDaniel right now. And that's where I'm putting so much of the blame on him. It's just, and this is something he's had even before Skyler. Tua, because of how quick his decision making is, how accurate he is, he hid a lot of the play calling issues.
Yeah.
But something McDaniel does need to have a wake up call on and do some self reflection is he's not giving the team easy opportunities on third downs, fourth down. The fourth down play
not
calling is
complicated. This isn't complicated.
No.
None of this is. You look at what they give you, and then you do something that'll beat it. And depending on what it is, and we can get into the schematics of what that is, but I mean, McDaniel is just running this high school nonsense. And don't even get me started on how long it takes them to get plays in.
That's an issue.
Like that's something, Brett, that we talked about pretty much episode 1 of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on that previous season, which was McDaniel's first.
Yes.
Like that was a year 1 issue that still hasn't gotten figured out. And that's a critical issue.
Yep. And to kind of go back to the tight ends too, and I'm going to throw Alec Ingold into this too, and love Alec Ingold as a player. Ingold and Smythe are supposed to be two of our best lead blockers. Guess who have consistently been our 2 worst blockers this year?
Probably them, because they're being sent out on fade routes.
Mm-hmm.
If I see another over-the-top pass with Smythe, Julian Hill, or Alec Ingold jumping, like, I don't understand.
Yeah, so they're not being set up for play, and it's just simple. The wide receiver position, I'd agree we didn't do enough, but you don't expect. So if OBJ was actually as hurt as they said he was, you shouldn't have signed him. Like, I'm sorry, but
I wonder if they didn't know.
That if that's true, that's malpractice that's where you say, okay, Greer, medical team, bye. But you don't expect River Craycraft, Malik Washington, and Taj Washington all to get hurt. But yeah, that was handled poorly. Tight ends, you keep your tight ends because they can block, and tight ends ain't block. Hill was okay blocking, I guess, but the penalties are just becoming too much. But yeah, we're at the point where I'm like, call up Rookie from the practice squad. Like, you need to do something.
Jonnu Smith was, and I know we have to always preface PFF rankings are what they are. But Jonnu Smith was the worst rated player on the Dolphins on Sunday. And I mean, Julian Hill ranked highly, but the penalties are a killer. The penalties are an absolute killer for him.
Yes. The other thing I will notice, and this is where I will go to the players, is whether it's the screens or runs, a lot of plays we're calling, the lane to follow is the inside route. And right now, and I don't know if it's coaching or just the players losing their heads, everybody's trying to cut to the outside, and they're going into the teeth of the defense where the numbers are. And I will say, in defense of Julian Hill, a couple of his holds are because the path is inside him, people going outside, and he's trying to hold his block. So
that's a running back issue.
That is a running back. I do say
go to why we only run 18 times.
Yes, I will say this. Love HN, he's been our best player, but there are times where he tries to bounce it outside too much. When he sticks inside, he's good, but there are just times and I know Mostert did it a couple of times. I don't remember. I think Jalen Wright did it once, but that it was the play he got like 10 yards and then they missed the horse collar. Um, yeah, our running backs are not following the right lane. And then I know at least 2 screens to Waddle where we had it blocked inside and he tried to cut outside, and rather than get a couple yards, we got no gain. So the team is just playing really dumb football right
Yeah,
now.
it's dumb and it's undisciplined.
Yes. Um, yeah, looking at the PFF rankings, have we established, is 50 considered average for an offensive line?
Yes.
Okay. So Eichenberg was our lowest rated offensive lineman at 50.6. So every offensive lineman we had was ranked above average, but I would still say Robert, like even though Robert Jones was ranked higher, I'd still say Robert Jones tends to be the worst offensive lineman we have by far.
And just to preface for people while they're looking at these numbers with us, there are 2 players that are off the screen because they're rated so low. 21st off the screen is Skylar Thompson. 22nd off the screen is Jonnu Smith.
And Skylar was the 33rd ranked quarterback in the league. He was
also Jonnu Smith's run blocking numbers are the lowest I think I've seen in a very long time.
Let me see.
31.
I don't even remember him run blocking.
3 snaps.
No. Shout out to Patrick Paul on his one play though, where he just completely pancaked.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I said, like I know, and again, this is not saying the offensive line is good, but I think too many people are using the offensive line as a crutch to excuse bad play calling and just poor execution
for sure
by skills players.
There's a lot wrong with this football team right now.
Yeah. But like I said, it's the plays are there to be made. Like there was a screen pass that Skylar put way too much air under to Jonnu Smith, which I put it on Twitter. Could have been a touchdown. Blocking was there. There was a 4th down play where Waddle was just breaking in. Tua hits it. So there's just, like I said, McDaniel does deserve criticism. Like I said last night in chat to Mr. S that I was almost at the point where I'm out of McDaniel. I've calmed down a little bit, but I was just so disgusted because the key to a backup quarterback is running the football and giving them simple reads. And he didn't do that. But then you go and you see the all 22 and you just realize Skylar couldn't do simple reads. And that was, again, Michigan, my team in college, passed for 32 yards, I think they said, on Saturday. And I would rather have that quarterback in than Skylar Thompson.
Who starts Monday for you? Or a week from today?
I would love for it to be Huntley just because I think he gives you the best chance when you go off script. Well, yeah.
So to me, if it's not Skylar,
it can't be Skylar. You can't go back to Skylar.
I'm saying if it can't be Skylar, then no matter what, you're going to have to simplify the playbook.
Yes.
And if you're going to have to do that, why not just go Huntley?
Yeah. And let me be fair too. Jordan, you know this. I've said this even with Tua. I think we have to simplify the playbook, and that's not an indictment of Tua. It's just teams know they're playing 2 high safeties, but we're not even trying to go deep. We're not even trying to go middle of the field anymore, and we feasted on the middle of the field.
If you ask me what the best case scenario is for the Dolphins over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's we decide to simplify the playbook for Huntley. Our offense produces efficiently, good numbers with a simplified playbook, getting the ball to our weapons. Tua comes back, and McDaniel realizes he doesn't have to – he can add some of his stuff in there, but he doesn't have to go back to the overcomplicated ways. He could stay kind of with this foundation. That foundation would also allow you to bring in a receiver or somebody on the outside that now it's easier to learn the playbook because it seems like guys were having trouble doing that when they were coming in.
Yep. I'll go as far as to say this, Jordan. If we run between 25 and 30 times a game, the next several games until Tua is back, we should win every game. I would go that far. With competent quarter. I wouldn't even say
what is Tua missing? Tennessee, New England, then the bye, and then what? And then Indy?
Yep, he's coming back for Arizona.
In Arizona?
Yeah. At the earliest.
And then what's the game after that?
Oh, it's in Miami, according to him. I don't know. Mr. S, can you give us the schedule after Arizona? Oh, at Bills.
So we play Arizona home and then at the Bills?
Yep.
Okay, if that's the case, then I say he comes back in that Arizona game.
Yep. But I think...
Well, who do we play after the Bills?
Let me pull up the schedule because I don't know the schedule. I don't know the schedule off the top of my head. I rely on everybody else for that.
The Rams. Maybe he comes back against the Rams and misses 6 weeks.
So it's the Rams, then the Raiders, then Patriots again, then Packers.
You either bring him back. I don't think you can bring him back in Buffalo. At this point you can't. So I think you either bring him back at home against the Cardinals, or you bring him back against the Rams at home as Brett's a black screen. So let's go back to these PFF numbers. How about that, Brett, as you return?
Yep.
Still there.
I thought Kendall Lamb was good when he came in. I'm still trying to figure out how Taron Armstead is in concussion protocol with an eye injury.
We're going to the defense, says our producer, publicly. Keep talking about the offense while I seamlessly transfer us over to defense.
Austin Jackson thought did good. Jalen Wright, I would say he needs more snaps. I have no idea what we were doing there. I did not think Smythe had a good game. He should have caught that touchdown from Boyle.
Yes.
Like literally it was a tough catch. He made it and then he loses it the last second. Defensively.
Is that offense again?
That's still offense.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think right now the issue is more with the skills players.
Calais Campbell, man, huh?
I'll say this. The defense, the only complaint with the defense is they've got to stop giving up the big play because they've given up one big play a game so far, and each one is
every game it's Cater.
Well, this one it was Javon Holland. Holland's our lowest rated player, and actually I would say he was bad. So
yeah, the safety play was terrible. Cater Coe is one of the first players I've seen in a long time that have had a turnover and been at the bottom of the rankings like that.
Yeah. Top three I agree with. Like I said, the defense is fine. Like they gave up
I'm fine with the defense.
They gave up a touchdown in
I have no problem with them.
The touchdown they gave up in the second half this week is the first second half point they've given up. Because remember, last week the points were the pick six. There's some things you got to work on, and again, I think you can see that a lot of the mistakes the defense makes is just players doing the wrong thing because they missed the reps in preseason. Again, Javon Holland, I love Javon Holland. But you can't be making a play you can't be biting like that when you're the farthest safety back when you're playing quarters, especially when you're going to want to be paid like a top one. So that's an issue. I thought all the defensive line played well. I thought
the defensive line played very well. I think Deshaun Hand's having a really good year so far.
He is. I actually saw Brandon Pilley make some good plays. He's not showing up on the stat sheet, but Chop Robinson is actually, and they pointed this out today, he is our only he's actually our highest rated edge player by PFF so far this year, and he's only like.
And I don't think I'm alone in this. Chop is playing amazing. I love Chop. However, there are a couple other guys who are having very good starts this season.
Well, I don't think Jalen Phillips meets the snap requirement, but I see people going, "Oh, we let Andrew Van Ginkel go and picked up Chop." Van Ginkel was let go, and we gave his money to Shaq Barrett. That's the issue.
And that's a big issue.
That is a big issue.
That's a huge issue that you got Shaq Barrett, who retired, instead of bringing back Van Ginkel, who's a fan favorite, who, if you have him on this defense, it would allow you to do other things, and a rabbit hole that I'm not going to go down right now because
the biggest issue
really just drive us crazy.
Yeah. But I'll say this, the biggest issue, and you mentioned it for the defense, one, Kader Kohu. I'm sure he's a nice kid, but he's consistent.
I'm sure he's a nice kid is like the biggest insult that you could give any athlete at any level.
He's been one of our worst players ever. This is the first game he wasn't our worst rated defender.
To our producer, just check on that when we name the episode. Can you just name the episode? I'm sure he's a nice kid.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's fair. But safety plays also been bad. Like Holland was bad. Jordan Poyer has been, to me, the biggest disappointment so far this year.
I could have seen that coming.
Yeah. Marcus May, I guess, was fine. What's he ranked here?
12th.
He's 12th. Yeah, I guess he was fine.
I thought Kendall Fuller made some good plays and made some bad plays. I thought his good plays were really good. I thought his bad plays were really bad.
Honestly, the only play I remember for him is him getting mossed. He had
the good play when they were backed up.
Okay, yeah. And he got his hand out.
Yeah, he got his hand out. He did his thing.
He's been fine. Storm Duck, I'm surprised he's rated so low. I thought he was fine.
I've been decently impressed with Sear Neal.
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think Jordan Brooks is a little low. I think David Long's been the worst linebacker this year so far, or at least I feel like he's the one that's missing more tackles and consistently taking.
Is he not even on this list?
Yeah, I think there's another page that we were not sent because he's not even on there.
Wow.
So maybe he's the lowest rated, which is not shocking to me. I thought Anthony Walker did good when he came in. I don't even remember Duke. I don't remember Duke Riley aside from getting a personal foul on an amazing.
I think that was the only play.
Yeah. So
I love how that's the only play. He got a personal foul, and he's our 10th best defensive player.
Yeah. Like I said, defense, they just gotta sort out the nickel and the safeties, but defense,
they made adjustments at halftime and had a really good second half.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll say the defense is close to being elite, but I think the defense is close to being really, really good where you can win a Super Bowl with this defense.
Yes, you can win a Super Bowl with this defense.
We just got to figure out the offense.
Can you do that? Well, I think you can do that in the next week to beat Tennessee, and I think you can do that in the next 2 weeks to beat New England.
Yeah.
That gives you 2 weeks over the bye. So really, you have 4 weeks here to figure out something.
Yeah. Legit. I honestly think if we commit if Mike McDaniel can swallow his pride, and it's weird he hasn't done this because he was a run game coordinator, if he will swallow his pride and just run the damn ball, I think we should. The team can rebuild its reputation with the fan base. I actually think they can do that. It's just the team still thinks they're built for speed, and the speed guys just don't look right now, aside from Achane.
Even if you're built for speed, you still have to have the physicality in this league.
Yes.
That's so. But Brett, we're 39 minutes in. Do we need Mr. S to make a ruling, or can you comment on the Brittany Sebastian situation?
First of all, I do have to say, he probably
there were some really mean things said. I want to say that first of all, that I said it publicly, I said it privately. I don't agree with a couple of the things that were said.
I don't think Brittany said most of them, but
Brittany did not say them.
I did laugh that she was called the mean tea lady.
The scary tea lady.
Scary tea lady. Yeah. I'm just going to see that all the time now and just laugh because that was actually pretty funny. Sebastian, unless he's 2-1, I'm sure he'll forgive Brittany. She just can't question his picks anymore. I've learned long ago not to question Sebastian. So
Sebastian lost what? One game all year last year?
two games, I think.
Two? Yeah,
Oh, she's already been forgiven.
that's fine.
So yeah.
Brett, biggest surprise from the weekend. One college, one pro. College in Michigan, is that your biggest surprise?
Personally, for me, yeah. Like I said, I just because of watching them the first couple, I didn't think they'd be able to hang with that with USC. Maybe to go away from Michigan. Trying to think of some of the other games. I would probably say I did not think Oklahoma was like I know it was close, but I did not expect Oklahoma to look as bad as they did the first half.
Yeah.
I guess you also got to go to James Madison, don't you?
Yeah. 70-50. That's a basketball score.
Yeah, so I'd probably say James Madison's the right answer, but I expected Oklahoma to be good, and because I never believe in Tennessee, but I'd just say how bad Oklahoma looked.
And then NFL, I'm going to go the Vikings beating up on the Texans the way they did. I think we both have already said that we think Kevin O'Connell's a great coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's showing. I think he's probably the early favorite to win Coach of the Year. But yeah, they've been really good and exciting, and that offense is ticking. And Sam Darnold, think out there, Sam Darnold and Geno Smith are both on undefeated teams that are playing well right now.
I would also throw Carolina out there because they looked a mess.
Yeah, but I think the Raiders kind of came back to form. I think that's kind of who the Raiders are. They'll play up, they'll play down. Yeah, Brett, your Carolina Panthers. That's right.
I said I wouldn't be surprised. Panthers. I just expected to be with Bryce Young, not with Andy Dalton.
How great is that, Andy Dalton revenge tour?
Now that brings it up. Do you call Carolina and take a flyer, see if they'll accept a late day 3 pick for Bryce Young?
Yes, 100%. Whether Tua's coming back or not, I'm a fan of doing that. 100%. A late day 3 pick for last year's number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I would do too. I think people are now unfairly saying Bryce Young was the problem. He wasn't playing good. He was playing really bad, let's be honest. But again, I think Carolina, how they handled last year's lessons on how not to handle a young quarterback.
Yeah. Brett, I have a new question for you.
Okay.
As we're getting close to the hour here. The Buffalo Bills are currently beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 13-0.
Yeah,
the first quarter is about to end. Have you looked at Trevor Lawrence's stats by chance? Through one quarter, Trevor Lawrence is 2 for 5 for 7 yards. Is it time to start the conversation on Trevor Lawrence?
The Jags podcast I was on a couple weeks ago, they were very nice people, but they were convinced.
That's another one of those. He's a really nice kid, and they're very nice people.
They're very nice guys. Let me finish that one. But they were very much on the line of saying Trevor Lawrence was ready to compete for MVP awards this year. And I bit my tongue, and I just didn't see it. I think so, just because if we're honest, Trevor Lawrence has been living off of his freshman year of Clemson.
For sure.
And
Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I never bought that. Like they were saying I heard people say Trevor Lawrence was on the Mount Rushmore of NFL prospects, and I don't see that. I definitely think it's time. You gotta show you're a plus player at some point, especially when you get that contract, and you can't. Like I know people are questioning Tua right now because of his health, but he's shown
when Tua's in the game.
Yeah,
he's a good quarterback.
Well, he's also shown that he's a big play waiting to happen
most of the time.
Yeah, he's shown he's a big play waiting to happen.
Buffalo.
Yeah,
no, and that other game in Kansas City.
Yeah,
and that other game in Buffalo.
But I also think
And that game in Baltimore.
well, he also had the other game where we came up big in Baltimore and he had 6 touchdowns.
I know.
But yeah, you're just trolling Mr. S right now. But he's still a big play waiting to happen. Trevor Lawrence really hasn't shown he has that big play ability. Is where I was getting at. You have to at least show it. But yeah, you have to have a topic. I think people also have to have a conversation on Caleb Williams. It's still too early, but just on how much people hyped him up. But I think people just bought into some Chicago hype.
I think he needs a couple years to develop. I don't think he's bad or a bust yet at all. I think we still got some time. I watched a decent amount of that game on Sunday, and he didn't look bad. He was making some reads. They're very talented at the receiver position, but they don't have much talent in the backfield. DeAndre Swift does not look good. One thing I've noticed about the NFL this year, if you watch Indianapolis and watch Jonathan Taylor, if you watch Philly and watch Saquon Barkley, if you watch New Orleans and watch Alvin Kamara, having a good running back, having a top-tier running back is super important. These teams that have gone the route of running back by committee and just dealing with, you're missing out. Like I am all about paying the running backs. Saquon Barkley, I know the Eagles' offense is not playing up to par right now, but Saquon Barkley is a stud. Jonathan Taylor makes so much happen, even though Anthony Richardson is terrible. The quarterback play has been terrible this year, and having a good running back and a good running game, and I think Devon Achane could be one of those guys.
Yeah.
But having a good running game is so key in this league right now.
Yeah. It's a case that the league is very cyclical, where you get faster because teams want to go outside, so defenses are getting smaller and smaller. You just got to get a good running back who can you just need to be good enough blocking on the offensive line. The bigger offensive line's better, but let's also say this. There's probably 3 or 4 teams with good offensive lines right now, but you just have to have someone who can find the opening and hit the home run, and it's going to happen. You're probably going to start seeing defenses get bigger again, get slower. The 3-4 is going to come back, and then what's going to happen in a couple more years? You're going to go outside, be faster again.
I don't know. I just think that we're at a point right now as a team where it's McDaniel needs to do some soul searching over the next couple weeks. Get through these next 2 games, hopefully with wins. And then on the other side of this bye, you got to come out. You have to come out with something different. We were just – there was a comment made at me that I want to talk about, and then I want to talk about that question. I want to be clear about one thing. I love Tua. I am very pro Tua. I think that I am a Tua fan. I think that he should be the starting quarterback of the Dolphins. However, I am a Dolphins fan first. And when Tua has a bad game, I'm going to say he has a bad game. I have not once discussed replacing Tua. Not once. I have discussed having a good backup option behind Tua. Just like if we had any quarterback, I would be talking about having a good backup quarterback for that. So I think that there's a difference in this community of Dolphins Twitterverse where people that want a good quarterback added to the roster or question Tua when he has a bad game, that doesn't necessarily mean we want to get rid of Tua. We're just calling it how it is. As for McDaniel giving up play calling, he's not going to. He's not going to. I'm pretty sure he said that himself. If he hasn't to this point, then, I mean, maybe it's something he reconsiders at the end of the season. But I do not see him at all taking a step back, even though he should probably be focusing on situational game management type stuff.
Yeah. Let's be clear. And it shows up in the all-22, whether it's the run game, pass game, whatever. He is a great play designer.
Yes.
He has to get better situationally. That's the big issue right now. But again, and this goes to him, Greer, whoever you want to say, the moment, and Jordan, I know because you and I sat here and talked, after preseason game 1, you said call Ryan Tannehill because Skylar Thompson was poor, Mike White was poor. you want to get through the preseason, that's fine. I did not like getting Tim Boyle. He can have his chance. He looked better than
Why
Skyler.
are we talking about Tim Boyle as our quarterback? How did we get here?
That's what I
How
was
did
going
we
to
get
say.
here? What is this?
It shows a level of arrogance that the
Yes.
team has not earned yet, because people talk about with the offensive line. Again, the offensive line is not good, but we are using that as a crutch to excuse arrogance from the coaching staff right now, because they are not playing to the team's strengths, which is running the ball. If we go, like, I will say this, I won't guarantee it because I don't want to go that far, but I am fairly confident in saying we become a primarily running team, go off the play action. If we have more runs than passes the next 3 games, we will be 3-0. I'm very confident in saying that.
Okay. Now we're coming up on the end, as I said a couple of minutes ago, and I know we have an episode coming up later in the week that you're not going to be a part of, as you are. I am very jealous of the festival that you are going to. That is, yeah, I'm extremely jealous.
Ocean Colin.
But I want to know 2 things. Okay. Well, 3 things. Number 1, what will be the score of the game next Monday? Number 2, who will be the starting quarterback of the Dolphins, and will he make it through the game? And number 3, on Tuesday, when we do this show next Tuesday, what are we going to be saying about this team?
I think the Dolphins win. I think it'll be 17-10.
Oh, what a brutal Monday night game.
With us getting a defensive touchdown, because Will Levis, if he's still the quarterback, likes giving up touchdowns. I think they're going to start Boyle because he's been here longer. And McDaniel has shown...
He's been here a week longer.
2 weeks longer.
Oh.
But
no
I
way.
think
There's no way. There's no way they start Tim Boyle over Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Okay, you know what? I'll change it. It'll be Huntley. You convinced me, because I forgot Huntley's actually on the main roster.
And I love how they keep calling him former Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley.
Yes.
I love that.
Do I think he'll get through? Yes, because I will also say this. People kept bringing up the sack numbers that Skyler had. I think, well, one was because the play was dead and the refs didn't blow it dead.
That happened twice.
That did happen twice. One was the weird Hail Mary where he refused to throw the ball and just invited a hit. But I just think Huntley is smarter on knowing how to protect himself and know when to get rid of the ball than Skylar Thompson is. And I can even say, like, when things are going bad, Tua tends to forget to protect himself too. I think Huntley is a little smarter when he's on the move. So I think Huntley would get through it. I think if it was Tim Boyle would get through the whole game too. I think they're not going to invite the hits that Skyler did.
Yeah, we got to make something happen. I think, and I'll go into it further on Wednesday, but I think that this is a big week for the Dolphins, no matter who starts at quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think that the Dolphins, no matter who starts, I think this is a must-win game for the team.
It is.
It's look, people can say, "Oh, we won't win because Tua's not there." If we lose the next 2 games, this is a slippery slope on the rest of the season and a lot of guys' jobs. I expect us to come out fired up on Monday. I expect us to come out ready to go on Monday, and I'll discuss it more on Wednesday. But I expect us to be a different football team when we take the field Monday night.
I do too. And like I said, I think a lot of the issues comes more down to the team just isn't didn't get the reps they needed to. I think, like I've said it before, I think they overcompensated with the injuries. Now we're playing poor as Jamar Chase has scored a touchdown. Um, I think McDaniel understands this because he's actually getting criticized by a lot of people. So I think, look, you don't judge people by when things are going well, you judge them by how they're going poorly. And this is really the first time where people are actively calling for him to make a change to himself and not to the team. So I think he is willing to do that. And if he isn't, then you got to start thinking, what conversation are we having next week?
Yeah, and I think that it's also a very big thing from a leadership perspective for him to use this opportunity to be introspective and to come off to the team like, look, yeah, there are ways that you guys could have done this or that, but I have to be better too, and I have to come in and make changes to what I'm doing.
Yes.
So that's all fixable, but these are the 2 weeks that it needs to happen.
Yes. And I do want to stress, you talk about me being the positive, optimistic person that I am. I do not see any issue on this team schematically that isn't fixable.
No.
The biggest weakness to me, like I will say this, the biggest thing holding us back outside of quarterback right now is we failed the tight end room again.
And we've said it for 2 years.
Yep.
We've said it for 2 years on this show.
Yep. But Michigan has a good tight end that's draft eligible this year, so maybe we'll get it back this year.
Yeah, that's what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting all this time.
We've been waiting for Colston Loveland, baby.
All right, Brett, before we get off, I have one thing because we're the list. I need you to make a list for me. Okay? You can go either top 3 or top 5. The top 3 or top 5 bands you are most excited to see at the festival this week.
Top 5. Offspring. They're one of my five favorite bands. Finally get to see them live. Blink 182 because it's the original members all together. Killers, another band would love to see live. Plus, you get to hear Mr. Brightside live, so that'll be fun.
That's always great. Are you going to sing along?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sublime, because it's Bradley Knowles' son now, so they're actually going to do the original lineup. And 5, just because I think it's going to be cool to see him, the Beach Boys.
Yeah, no, that's a great list. I'm so jealous. It's funny because I didn't even know that you were going, but months ago I was actually looking to go out there, and then the weekends didn't line up. But yeah, it's going to be a great time. And we'll hold the fort down for you over here. And I won't fight our producer this weekend.
If you do, he might deserve it. Sometimes he does. He might be drinking this weekend, so he might deserve it.
Okay, I'll keep a close eye. Brett, before we get off, anything else you want to tell the people?
My rule for football games is you get 24 hours to complain, to vent, to do everything. You got that. We got to take the attitude now. It's on to the next game, and we got to remember it's still this is game 4 coming up. It's a long season. So I know you and our producer have been fighting a lot, but the one thing I will say, and it's a phrase he stole from me, none of the Chicken Little shit. If you're gonna Chicken Little, you gotta take the highs with the highs and lows with the lows, and there will be high times this year, figuratively speaking.
And when all else fails, vamos gatos.
Sure. So, all right, guys, I will see y'all in a week. I hope to have fun, and let's hope we turn this around.
Go Fins.
Go Fins.